Alright, now let's breathe deep and hear this like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it just might. There's a moment in every encounter with a narcissist when something shifts. You feel it in your gut before your mind catches up. It's that cold flash of knowing you're not dealing with a person who's just wounded or misunderstood. No, you're standing in the presence of someone who's handed their soul over to something far darker. The narcissist becomes a vessel. Not just a liar, but the lie itself wrapped in charm, coated in flattery, dripping with deception. We imagine evil as some shadowy figure in the corner. A monster, a demon. But no, evil, my friend, evil wears designer shoes, it laughs in the hallway, it brings you coffee in the morning. The narcissist makes it easy for that evil to thrive, because they've stripped away the sacred for the sake of control. Every compliment has strings. Every smile has a hook. Every "I love you" is a contract written in invisible ink. This is more than ego, more than pride. It's not just a crack in the mirror. It's a soul that chose to stop reflecting light altogether. And if you think it's harmless, if you think you can handle it, hear me now, this is not just an emotional storm. This is spiritual warfare dressed in polite conversation. Have you ever felt the air change when someone walks into the room? That eerie drop in peace, like something holy just left. That's no coincidence. The narcissist doesn't just disagree, they dissect. They don't argue. They erase. And somehow, they make you believe you're the one who's lost. And that's the trap. They don't need to hit you to wound you. They twist reality, gaslight your memory, take your truth and toss it in a blender with their version of events, and serve it to you like it's gospel. And if you start to question it, if your spirit begins to stir, they'll tighten the leash, not with rage, but with confusion. Because that's their domain, confusion, doubt, self-betrayal. Now here's the part you've got to hold on to. You can't save the narcissist. You can love them, pray for them, cry over them. But you can't carry them back from a place they chose to live in. They don't want light. They want worship. They want your knees on the ground, and your voice silenced, your power drained, so they can feel tall next to your collapse. And the longer you stay in their fire, the more your spirit scorches. They won't flinch at your tears. They won't pause at your breaking point. In fact, they'll smile. There's a chill in their joy, a sparkle in their eye when they see that crack in your armor. That's not regret you're seeing, it's satisfaction. This isn't a rough season. This isn't something time will fix. This is destruction with a schedule. Hurt with a strategy. And when the narcissist goes full dark, oh, they don't even hide it anymore. They throw away the mask, stand in the ashes, and call themselves the victim. You could lay your soul bare in front of them. Bring every truth, every fact, every screenshot, and they'll look you in the eye and say, "You're making it up." And they'll believe it. Because that's the horror. They don't just tell lies. They become the lie. They kneel at its altar. They baptize themselves in it. And if you dare to challenge that fantasy, they'll twist your defiance into a weapon. Suddenly you're the monster. You're the unstable one. You're the reason nothing works. So let me leave you with this. If you're waiting for them to finally see what they've done, stop. If you're hoping your pain will awaken their heart, it won't. That heart has grown cold in places you can't reach. You're not weak for walking away. You're not cruel for protecting your peace. You are sacred. And you deserve a life free from torment disguised as love. Let them keep their kingdom of lies. You, go child of the light, go build something holy. Let me tell you something straight from the fire of my soul. This isn't just manipulation. No, it's deeper than that. It's the rewriting of your entire reality while you're still living in it, blindfolded. The narcissist doesn't just bend the truth. They shatter it, sweep it under the rug, and then tell you the rug was always empty. That's not strategy. That's domination masquerading as charm. So I'm not here to spook you. I'm here to wake your spirit up. Because if you're in orbit around one of these manipulators who stepped fully into the abyss, don't sit there praying for an apology. Don't keep one eye on the horizon waiting for change. Protect your peace. Guard your flame. Some souls don't seek healing. They seek to consume. And if you don't recognize that soon enough, you'll be the offering they burn at the altar of their own swollen ego. Let the truth hit you like holy thunder. And once it does, don't you dare look back. Listen, this isn't your everyday heartbreak. This isn't just someone difficult. This isn't just a bad season. This is a full-blown hijacking of reality. This is when the narcissist graduates from deceit to dark mastery. Where they no longer just bend the rules, they erase them and dare you to say otherwise. And here's the haunting part: the more they succeed, the braver they become. They test the water, find it warm, and then flood the room. The shepherd's gone and the wolves are dining on trust. The narcissist starts crafting a world where wrong feels righteous, where madness is worn like a crown, and where truth is gagged and bound in the corner. You hear the lies and think, no way they believe this. But they do, or at least they convince themselves they do, because truth stopped being useful to them a long time ago. A truth doesn't build kingdoms for them, so they toss it aside and build their throne on illusion. They don't just twist the facts, they twist identity. One day, they're the poor misunderstood victim. The next, they're the untouchable prophet. They play every role with perfect timing, the savior, the genius, the martyr. And when you dare to raise your voice, when you say, this doesn't feel right, prepare yourself. Because they won't just resist. They will annihilate. They'll poison the room before you walk in. They'll twist your words into daggers, hand them to others, and call it justice. And the crowd, most of them will believe it. Not because the story makes sense, but because the narcissist planted it in fertile ground: your silence, your doubt, their charm. There was a time they faked emotion, a tear here, a trembling voice there. But now, that stage act is over. Now they betray with boldness. Now they leave wreckage without pause. They don't hesitate, they don't recoil. They inflict harm with the calm of a surgeon and the pleasure of a sadist. A decent heart regrets. A decent soul wrestles with guilt. But this is different. This is a predator that sleeps soundly after the slaughter. You confront them, they harden your hands, hoping for remorse, and they give you a smirk. That smirk is the devil's applause. That's not confusion. That's enjoyment. You breaking is their encore. And here's the terror. There's nothing left holding them back. No fear, no shame, no conscience to whisper, that's enough. They move from one soul to the next like it's a hunt. Friends, lovers, children, parents, anyone in the way is just another piece to break, another story to rewrite, another trophy for their hollow victory walled. They'll whisper love with the same mouth that's planning your downfall. Because they don't love. They don't connect. They collect. And once you're broken, they morph into the rescuer. They step in, arms wide, saying, only I can help you. But don't you see? That's the same hand that shoved you off the cliff. This isn't just a mind game. It's a soul snare. Every touch, every word, every glance is part of a larger spell, to keep you spinning, confused, dependent. They've studied human nature not to honor it, but to weaponize it. They use affection like bait. They wield silence like a sword. And when they strike where it hurts the most: your truth. So hear me, and hear me clear. You don't defeat this with kindness. You don't outlast it with loyalty. You don't fix this with more giving. You break free by seeing it, by calling it what it is, and by refusing, utterly refusing, to bow to the illusion. Because once you see it, truly see it, the spell breaks. And the light comes rushing in. Let me speak to your soul right now. Not to your fear, not to your logic, but to the deep part of you that's been quietly whispering, something's not right. Because this isn't just about manipulation. This is about the kind of bondage that doesn't come with handcuffs, but with lies so thick, they feel like chains. The narcissist doesn't stop at one. They want the whole room, the whole story. They sow tension like seeds, water it with whispers, and watch people turn on each other like a puppet master pulling strings in the dark. And all the while, they sit in the center, calm as morning fog, smiling gently, saying, I just want peace. Peace. No, friend, they want control disguised as harmony. They want obedience wrapped in silence. You think you've caught them. You think the truth is out. But what you don't realize is, by the time you find the script, they've already rewritten it. By the time you find your footing, they've moved the floor. They're not reacting to reality, they're reinventing it. And here's the part that will chill you to your core. Once you start doubting your own memory, they know they've got you. Not your body. Not your attention, your mind, your soul, your grip on what is real. And they didn't need to scream, or threaten, or raise a hand. They just needed to make their voice louder than your own truth. Hear me on this. They don't need to chain you, if they can convince you that freedom is the lie. This isn't drama. This isn't someone having a bad week. This is a spiritual crisis. This is what happens when a soul chooses power over purpose, the control over compassion. The narcissist doesn't just wander from the light. They reject it, mock it, and aim to extinguish it. Especially in those who still carry it. There was a time, sure, when they played the part, quoted the right words, put on the perfect face. But that was never for connection. It was camouflage. And now, for that mask is dust. burned. Now, what's left is a sneer at morality, a scoff at anything sacred. They don't just walk away from the truth. They hunt it down. They twist it, strip it, and bury it 6 feet under while smiling for the camera. Watch closely, you'll see it. The flicker in their eye when someone speaks of love. That mocking smile when faith is mentioned. That deep disdain when someone speaks of integrity or redemption. Why? Because the light reveals them, and exposure terrifies them. They can't stand what they can't control. So if your heart beats with conviction, if your soul still believes in goodness, prepare for the storm. They will test you, mock you, push you, tempt you, and when you say no, I won't compromise, they don't respect it. They rage against it. Because the narcissist isn't threatened by weakness. They're terrified of light, and that's when their mask shatters. That's when the charm turns to ice. And now, you're not arguing with a person. You're confronting something much darker. A spirit bent on domination, not dialogue. And what they carry, it's more than words. It's more than action, it's atmosphere. You ever felt a room shift before they speak? That weight, that suffocating energy that drains you before the conversation even starts. That's not paranoia, that's spiritual residue. That's what happens when someone has marinated in manipulation for so long, it seeps out of their pores. You walk in with clarity, you leave with confusion. You were confident, and suddenly, you're questioning everything you said, everything you are. That's not your weakness, that's their weapon, because they don't feed on love, they feed on reaction. On chaos. On your shrinking. On your spinning. They breathe easier when you're suffocating. They smile when your soul stumbles. That's how they know they still have a grip. That's why every talk feels like a trap, every silence like a setup. That's why peace can't survive in their presence. Because peace isn't something they ever wanted. They want leverage. They want submission. They want to be God in a world they control. And heaven help the soul who confronts them. You say, this hurts. They say, you're too sensitive. You say, this isn't right. They say, you're overreacting. You say, I need space. They say, you're abandoning me. And, just like that, you're the problem. And you find yourself defending the truth they already know but will never admit. That you're exhausted, not from the fight, but from trying to prove the sky is blue to someone who painted the clouds. But here's the fire you need today. You don't owe them anything. Not another hour of your night. Not another defense. Not another shred of your peace. You won't win their game. Not because you're not strong enough, but because the game is a lie. The board is rigged. The rules change every time you get close to clarity. The only way to win is to walk away. The moment you do, the fog lifts. The lies lose power. Your thoughts come back. Your breath deepens. You look around and realize, wait a minute, I was never broken. I was being broken down. And that's when healing begins. Not when they change, but when you choose light over illusion. And let me tell you, that light in you, it was never theirs to touch. Now let it shine.